Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic / non-classic. This is episode number 273 and Doubleshot number 204. Okay? First up, Hawkeye Volume 6, Hawkeyes by Jeff Lemire and I think his name was Ramon Perez. Yeah, Ramon Perez. Now this contains the relaunched all-new Hawkeye series, which was relaunched with number 1, and this one lasted for 6 issues before Marvel decided to just cancel it. And this was just ended just recently. This only ended like 2 months ago. Yeah, I'm not kidding. This ended just recently. Now, according to Jeff Lemire, he says this was an 11-part epic, which I kind of feel it is. Now, why the name Hawkeyes? Simple. There's a couple reasons for that. One, because there's 2 Hawkeyes in here. And the second, because the first half of this particular volume is a flash forward, where half the time you spent in the present and in the future, in a possible future, which has since been undone. That's where this version of Hawkeye comes in. Apparently, the comic jumps back and forth, like, jumps to 20 years in the future, where Hawkeye looks like he's in his mid-50s, and Kate Bishop is in her late 30s. And she's still dating Marvel Boy. Norval, in case you're trying to forget. Oh, and the villain who shows up in these flash forwards is the Mandarin. No, this is not the first time he's shown up in the Hawkeye series. He's shown up during that 2-parter known as The Tape, during the Matt Fraction David Aja series. Excuse me. Yeah. And the second half, now pretty much the whole story is taking back these group of like very weird kids from S.H.I.E.L.D. and Katie basically just questioning her relation or partnership with Clint most of the time. And of course you had the flash back in the second half of the series with flashes back to Kate Bishop's childhood, where she meets... I was kind of surprised to see this guy. You see, her father is a jerk, and he likes working with bad guys. And he doesn't work with any bad guy. He works with classic Daredevil villain Matador. Yep. In case you're wondering who this character is, he is a D-list character created back in the early 60s. Yeah, in 1964 by Stan the Man Lee and Wally Wood. He premiered in issue 5. This was 2 issues before the Purple Man showed up. Yeah, so Lemire basically brought in a very obscure villain. I kind of knew who he was because I kind of read about him and the fact that I have heard of this villain before. But if you're a reader who has basically read comics like the past 5 years or just recently, you'll have no idea who this character is. Honestly. Yeah, he says he's a criminal, but that's it. This guy is the Matador. I am not kidding about this. So basically, Lemire first brings in an Iron Man villain, and then he brings in an old Daredevil villain. I'm like, okay. I mean, they're not fighting in present day. I mean, a lot of the time, present day, they're fighting Hydra. Yeah. But, the Flash 4 stuff gets undone because of the fact that Clint and Kate decide to, get back together, become actual partners again. And this series definitely did feel like a continuation of Matt Fraction and David Ashford. A little bit, but not very much. It didn't have the the biggest criticism of the series. Even I don't think anybody I never heard anybody talk about this particular volume of All New Hawkeye. But the biggest problem people had was that the story was not interesting at all. And the only thing people liked about this was the chemistry between Clint and Kate. That was it. They didn't care about anything else. There's no mention if they like the artwork or not. I mean, I like the artwork. The present day artwork feels very much like David Aja's artwork, even though it's not David Aja on the artwork. The present day stuff is really good, and yeah, you don't get to see much of Clint's apartment building. All you see is Clint's apartment. You don't see the actual building itself. You don't see his tenants, stuff like that. Now, it's kind of sad to see the all-new Hawkeye series go, but I have heard the series is coming back. Well, not all-new Hawkeye, but Hawkeye is getting a new series, but it's not focused on this guy, Clint Barton, the original Hawkeye. It's focused on his successor. Well, basically his student, Kate Bishop. She's the main focus of the series. Maybe get more fleshed out her backstory in the series. Now, I don't know. I don't remember. I mean, I'm going to open up the... I have a document that says. As far as I know, Lemire is not writing the new Hawkeye series. It's written by somebody else. It's not Matt Fraction. Let's see here. Now, as far as I've looks like me start here. This it's going to be written by Kelly Thompson and Leonardo Romo. Yeah, Kelly Thompson, from what I is the writer of, yeah, she's the writer of A-Force. So having her take over another female character, I don't have a problem with that. But this I actually feel is really good, and people should give this series another look. It's only collected in 2 trades. I mean, yeah, it's not the Matt Fraction stuff, but it's, even though it's a different writer, and it doesn't have that same feel, it's awesomeness, but you can kind of give praise for this series for one thing that the Matt Fraction series did suffer from. It hardly had any delays. I think it had 1 delay the entire series. Yeah, the delayed issue 4 because issue 22 was coming out. But otherwise, though, for 11 issues, like for these set of issues, none of them were delayed. All came out on time when they're supposed to. Now, I was kind of surprised to see the series go because I like the all-new Hawkeye series. I don't think it's better than the Matt Fraction Hawkeye series, but it's still a pretty decent series. If in fact that people would give the series a chance, maybe you could have explored a lot more stuff. I mean, yeah, you got a lot more stuff with in the previous volume, you were exploring Clint's childhood, which I actually liked this flashback sequences, though I didn't like how the panels put together, but it was nice seeing that. And you got to see Kate, though the promotion for this is like it was going to be Old Man Hawkeye. I'm thinking though, Old Man Hawkeye, he's dead. He got killed off in the Old Man Logan storyline. But it is just a futuristic version of these characters. But also, whenever they draw Katie in the future, they draw her like she's got wrinkles on her face, even though she's like, Kate Bishop is generally supposed to be in her late teens, like basically about 16 or 17-ish. That's my personal guess. Maybe 18 for that matter. But they say the thing takes place 20 years in the future, and she's supposed to be in her late 30s. Okay, I can kind of see some wrinkles, but not... It's like the artist was overdoing it and like depicting like Katie was probably in her 50s. Possibly, I don't know. At least Clint was actually depicted to be his actual age, because there was a joke in Access where Hawkeye made a cameo where Spider-Man says, "Oh, look at this guy! He's 36, and he's still hanging out with the Avengers." There was also another joke that he could be 40. My opinion, I think he's in his mid-30s. That is a possibility. As for his ex-wife, Mockingbird, she is in her early, I would say late 20s, early 30s. A lot of heroes tend to be in their late 20s, early 30s. But some characters like Clint or Iron Man tend to be in their mid to late 30s. So Clint is in his 50s, and I do like it. I do like it in the flash forward when they show him when he opens up a box and when Katie contacts him, and he opens it up and he sees the mask that Jack Kirby gave him back in the 60s. Let's see here. Where is that? Yeah, apparently he kept it after all this time. Well, she kept his suit. Oh yeah, the second reason why it's called Hawkeye is because that's what she calls her staff in the future. Hawkeyes. Let's see, I'm trying to... These are the weird kids they have to basically... They're the main focus of the entire run. Yeah, these strange kids. Let's see. Here we go. Right here. Take a close look at that. When you look at that, that looks a lot like the Jack Kirby costume that he gave him back in the Tales of Suspense run. When he first appeared in Tales of Suspense. I do like the nice cute little nod to continuity. Now the one small problem with that is that there's no editor's note saying, yeah, this is the costume Jack Kirby designed for him back in the 60s. I mean, there's no editor's notes here. Like, in the case of the Mandarin, some people have a pretty good idea who the character is. But as for Malador, if you're a reader who has never read any early Daredevil issues, I've read all the issues of Daredevil. I know who this character is. But one of the biggest faults of this book is introducing the Malador and not explaining him properly. I mean, like, explaining him fully to new audience. Like, there's no editor's note, like, who this character is. Heck, I don't think even the original issue they put an editor's note on it, but that's one of the criticisms of this is the Malador is Malador appearing here completely out of nowhere. But the story is fine. I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, Maria Hill was sort of like a jerk like she normally is. But please give the series a second look. It is good. Okay? I give this book a 9 out of 10. Alright, next up. Grayson Volume 3. Containing issues 9 through 12 of Grayson, the sneak peek, and of course, A number 2. Yeah, the story is called Nemesis. Pretty much, the story itself only goes through issues 9 through 11. 12 is just a standalone issue, which is probably the best issue of the whole series. Probably for a lot of people, basically, when they jump back onto the series. Now, people's problem with the series is the fact that, well, Dick Grayson is on being a spy. Something he wouldn't normally do. And, of course, him not being Nightwing is probably the reason why they didn't like this series very much. I personally have read every issue for this whole series. And I actually like the series. I own some of the issues of this series. I personally have never had a problem with Grayson. Never. And I do like the fact that he's gone back to his Nightwing costume. And thank God he went back to blue and black. Because I miss that. Because... well, actually, he had not worn the blue and black outfit since, I think, 2009. So it's been like 8 years because, here's the thing. He spent 2 years as Batman, and then he spent, like 2 years back as Nightwing, but he went to red and black instead of blue and black. And then he spent the past couple years as Grayson, as Special Agent Grayson. Now... also, Checkmate shows up here. Like, I kind of forgot that there's Checkmate agents even in here because I mistakenly assumed during the last story arc of the series that was the first time Checkmate even showed up in this continuity. Yeah, I kind of forgot because it's been a while since I read these issues. But it was kind of nice to see that. Now, here's of course some sample artwork in here. Now, I almost forgot who's the creative team for this. Well, the writers are Tim Seeley and Tom King. Of course, Tim Seeley is still writing writing Dick Grayson, and Tom King is writing Batman, and the artist is Mikhail Juan. I think that's how you pronounce the person's name. One of my favorite issues of these 4 issues is, it might be issue 10. Let's see. That's one. Yeah, I think this is issue 10. Where, in this issue, it has the most surprising guest star of all. Lex Luthor, in his one of 2 appearances he makes in this whole series. He also makes an appearance in the Grayson Annual, but I'm sure for a lot of people who basically know who Lex Luthor is, they're probably dropping their jaws. A Superman villain in a Batman book? Well, he has appeared in Batman books before, so it's not unusual to see him in here. But it's actually a bit surprising to see him in a Dick Grayson book, because usually he shows up in Bruce Wayne Batman stuff. Never Dick Grayson. The only reason why he showed up here is just to remind people what happened in review number 6. Yeah, and there's even a flashback in here to that. Yeah, it's my favorite issue because Lex Luthor shows up. Hooray! Another issue I do love in here is issue 12. Issue 11 does wrap up that story arc, which is a quick little 3-parter. Then issue 12 is simply, and this came out, and these issues came out after Convergence. I forgot to say, yeah, these came out after Convergence. Issue 12 is Dick Grayson reunited with the Batman family. Now at the start of this, he basically is contacting Batman and figure out why isn't he calling him? Why isn't he responding? And this is never brought up again. And this is probably like now and again, but it doesn't get fully explained. Like, if you're just reading this series and not reading Batman, you have no idea what's going on. Basically, he runs into the Batman who's amnesiac, who's not Batman anymore. Oh yeah, and Jim Gordon Batman shows up in the annual. I should mention that too. He reunited to the Batman family. Alfred is surprised to see him, though they don't show that scene apparently in here. I mean, I would have thought he would basically either punch him or give him a hug because he's happy to see him. Instead, the book opens up simply with Bruce and Dick talking. I'm like, where's that scene where Alfred reunites with Dick? Of course, they do show the scene of what happened when Jason Todd and Tim Drake reunited with him. Like, in the case of Jason Todd, it makes perfect sense for him to do this. Basically, when Jason Todd found out Dick Grayson was alive, he saw him again. First thing he did, he punched him. I was kind of thinking Tim might do the same thing, but nope. They're unhappy. They kept this a secret. And as for Barbara, I don't have time for this. Though she does later forgive him in her own title, which my guess is she dropped right here for a quick cameo. But the best scene of the entire issue is seeing Dick reunite with Damian. Damian was so happy to see him, despite the fact Grant Morrison wrote these two like the very end, like not like a job very much. But it's a nice little issue. But he has to go back to Spiral because of reasons, I would say. Yeah, the reason I can think that he probably went back to Spiral is because, well, Agent Zero, who was, let's see. Now, I thought it might be Candy Cane, but no, it is actually this woman, Luca Newts. Yep, she's the reason why. She basically dragged him back to Spiral. Yeah, that's the only reason why. I mean, apparently she did not get the message that he had quit Spiral, and oh, we gotta put him back. And like, some people thought that after issue 12 the series might end, it might go back to being Nightwing, but no, the series continued on for another 8 issues after this. But yeah, and of course Ciano kind of picks up like not long after this, where he gets new Hypnos implants, which, and there's like a sharp point in there. I'm like, that's gotta hurt. Yeah, that's gotta hurt. But the whole fact that with that new character Luca, that has become effective until like the last arc of the series. As for Robin War, which was supposed to basically lead into the whole thing with which comes later, that doesn't like effective after the series is over with. But this is still good. And I tend to think, though, why in the world would people not like seeing... I mean, it's Dick Grayson acting completely in character. I mean, he doesn't shoot a gun. He doesn't kill people at all. I mean, yeah, Tiger does. I mean, Tiger does do something, but he gets framed. But, of course, it was... and, of course, they blamed the whole Nemesis thing on Maxwell Lord, which is the first reference anybody's ever made to the character in this continuity, though he does show up in 2 arcs after this one. So, yeah. This is still good. I do recommend to people who never read Grayson before. And I get this book a 9 out of 10. And it's decently priced, only $17. Alright, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode. Will be episode 274 and Doubleshot number 205. Till then, see you there. Bye.